Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 10 of Uzumaki Naruto, Birth of the New Demon King. If you guys enjoyed this what if, and want to see part 11 of it, comment down below, and let me know. The like goal for this video is 200 likes. So like this video, to let me know that you're interested in this series, and you want the next part. Check out my new videos of My Hero Academia what ifs in my second channel, and give it some love as well. Link is in the description. And go ahead and check out other what ifs in the channel. Before we start, please do support for more awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, and also share this video with your friends. So let's start this video. The grin formed on Naruto's face, one that threatened to split his face in half. Very well. Naruto blurred from view as the battle began. He reappeared right next to Orochimaru, his fist already lashing out in a punch that had so much strength put into it, it would take the Sannin's head off. Orochimaru had just enough time to weave his body around the punch, twisting his body at an angle that should be impossible for humans to accomplish. It was like he could dislocate all his joints at will, or like he didn't actually have a backbone. He moved much like a snake would. Considering his summons, the man's way of movement was fitting. The Hibi Sannin lashed out as he dodged the first attack, striking at Naruto with a knife-edged hand aimed at his throat. Because of Naruto's strength, even when he was not using his Yauki, the attack wouldn't have done much more than cause him to stumble. However, he still had no intention of getting hit by Orochimaru, and so he dodged accordingly, ducking under the blow and coming up with an uppercut. Orochimaru wove around the blow, and made an attempt at stabbing Naruto through the eye. It was dodged when the blonde Uzumaki moved his head to the side, letting the hand ruffle his hair. In return, the blonde launched his own punch at the Sannin's face, however that too was dodged. Naruto's knee came up, and blocked Orochimaru's foot when it tried to take him by surprise. With no true blows landed, the two jumped back and reassessed each other. The entire sequence of combat had taken less than a minute. In the shinobi world, battles were usually fast-paced, where seconds could mean the difference between life and death. So many ninja were used to moving fast in combat. However, even then what the Anbu watching outside witnessed was beyond a simple ninja battle. The speed of the two fighters was of the kind very few could reach. It went beyond Jonin and into the realm of Kages. What surprised them the most was that the one battling Orochimaru, S-rank ninja and one of the three Sannin who were said to be on par with any Kage, was none other than Uzumaki Naruto, genin of Konoha, dead last of his class, and from his file, an all-around screw-up. The image they had in their mind and the image the grinning blonde before them were in such complete contrast with each other, that those watching found it hard to believe the battle could be anything more than a very elaborate genjutsu. A few of the younger officers there even tried to dispel an illusion just to make sure they hadn't been caught in one. "Oh man, did you see that?" asked Usagi as he watched the battle. "I could hardly even keep up with them." "Me either, the battle's only just started, and it looks like they've kick-started into high gear." This particular comment came from Tori. "I expected this kind of fighting from someone like Orochimaru. But to see Uzumaki fighting like that is unbelievable," Usagi said in an excited voice. "It is most impressive," replied Tenzu, the captain of the Anbu squad. "But then, this is the genin who pranks the Anbu and clans of Konoha as a pastime. There is obviously more to this young man than we thought. Maybe we should offer him a position in the Anbu when this is all over," Usagi suggested. "You mean if he survives," said Tori. However, none were more surprised than Sarutobi Hiruzen. Well, the battle had just started. The fact that Naruto was more than keeping up with his former student was remarkable. Naruto, who was still just a genin, and one who was supposed to be at the bottom of his class's graduates, was fighting a shinobi that had been hailed as a genius. Even with the recent and mysterious changes the blonde went through, he should not have become this powerful. "What happened to you during that time in the Forest of Death, Naruto-kun?" Inside of the barrier, Naruto was grinning like a madman as he dodged and blocked, attacked and counter-attacked. He had never actually had this much fun. This was a fight. This was what he had been waiting for. A battle with a worthy opponent. It didn't matter that Naruto had decided not to use his Yauki so as to make the battle more even in the hopes of gaining a challenge. All that mattered to him was that he had found someone to battle who was on par with him as far as raw skills went. It actually went without saying that Orochimaru was a better fighter. His style was more fluid than Naruto's brawling style. His reflexes were better honed due to the decades of battle he had been in, and he had more tricks up his sleeve than the blonde did. But that was okay with Naruto, it just made this fight more exciting. What Naruto lacked in finesse and experience, he more than made up for in raw potential and physical ability. He may not be using Yauki in this battle, but his natural strength and speed were enough to keep up with the Sannin's cunning mind and deceptive tactics. He may not have experience, but Naruto had always been a genius in battle. Not in the way Hyuga Neji was, with his powerful taijutsu, or Shikamaru with his thinking 200 moves ahead strategy. No, what Naruto had was an innovative and creative mind that bordered on the insane. He thought outside the box, he was unpredictable, and to any shinobi who fought more with their mind than their bodies, that was a very frightening thing. "Quickly, let us see if we can't get this barrier down." Hearing the voice, Naruto looked out of the corner of his eye. He saw the Hokage and the Anbu on one side of the barrier. He frowned, turning his eyes back to his opponent. Oji-san, what are you still doing there standing around like a lemon? When he was sure he got the Hokage's attention, Naruto continued. There's a war going on, you know. Why don't you go and help out your ninja? What? Naruto, this is not some genin you are fighting. Sarutobi said in an urgent voice. This is Orochimaru. One of my students. He is one of the greatest traders of the Leaf and an S-rank ninja. Even with your new power, you don't stand a chance against him. Kikuku, you should listen to the old man, Naruto-kun, Orochimaru said with a chortle. Not that it matters seeing as you're trapped here with me. That barrier won't come down unless I command the sound for it to let it down, and that won't be happening for a while yet. Naruto rolled his eyes. I'm hurt that you would think I'm not up to the task of killing some 2-bit has been. While Naruto could not see it, he could tell from the stiffening postures of the Anbu that they were all wide-eyed. The fact that Sarutobi looked like he had just shit a brick and Orochimaru began seething was just a bonus. I guarantee I'm stronger than you think. Than anything of you can think. Besides, you can't get past that barrier. All you'd be doing is standing there wasting time, when you could be helping turn the tides of battle. So let me have my fun and get going. Sarutobi hesitated. He didn't really want to leave, but Naruto was right. He had been trying to come up with a way to get through the barrier, however he could not think of anything that would work. It was impervious to ninjutsu, and he didn't have enough experience in Fuinjutsu to think of anything that might get rid of the seal. He didn't even think Jiraiya had that kind of talent. Minato might have. Sarutobi was sure he would have been able to find a way to get rid of the barrier. But he was no longer amongst the living, and thus no help. So he had a choice. He could stay here and watch helplessly as his grandson figure fought a man Sarutobi knew was far beyond his power. Or he could leave, and enter the battle proper, helping as many shinobi as he could. In the end, the choice was obvious. I'm sorry Naruto, Sarutobi said, before turning to his Anbu. You three will stay here and watch the battle. If the barrier goes down, you are to assist Uzumaki-san in fighting Orochimaru. He received 3 highs from his shinobi. Looking at Naruto one last time, Sarutobi left to fight in the battles going on down below. Maybe now I can fight win peace, Naruto said. He looked at Orochimaru and smirked. Ready to continue. Orochimaru chuckled. This kid was just full of surprises. Kikuku, of course Naruto-kun, show me what you made of. Naruto shivered. That just sounded so wrong, on so many levels. Birth of the new Demon King. The battle within the arena had taken a turn for the worst, against Oto that is. Armed with Naruto's information, Temari and Baki had informed the rest of their ninja the truth about the man that had been sitting in their Kazakage's place. Enraged, soon the ninja turned on Oto, and the battle that had already been going poorly thanks to the battle plan they had laid out being disrupted by a certain blonde genin, became that much worse. Kamitachi no Jutsu. Temari swung her oversized fan and sent a force gale of cutting wind pockets towards a group of Oto ninja. While the jutsu was only C-ranked in power, it was strong enough that many of those caught in its grasp would not be fighting anytime soon. Thus a little ways away from the sandy blonde, the second oldest of her siblings was using his puppets to either attack or herd Oto ninja into her attacks. Konkuro himself hid behind Baki for protection, as her brother wasn't any good at open combat, preferring to rely on his poisons and puppets to get the job done. She looked at the wall behind her, specifically at the still sleeping form of her youngest brother. It was so odd seeing him sleeping, and not having Shukaku take over his body. She would have wondered what was happening to him, but considering the situation she was in, she knew that now was not the time for such trivial thoughts. He was safe, and that was all that mattered. Temari looked at several ninja her brother was herding over to her, and swung her fan again. Kamitachi no Jutsu. Birth of the new Demon King. Kabuto grimaced as he was sent flying backwards from another powerful blow to the chest by one Mito guy. He was just thankful that with his ability to heal himself he was practically impervious to any and all forms of damage. Otherwise this battle would have been over long ago, and it would not have been he who was the victor. Though just because he couldn't be permanently damaged, didn't mean he wasn't going to curse his situation. Thanks to Kakashi as his damnable Sharingan he had been found, before he could leave. Now he was not only fighting Mito guy, but also Hatake Kakashi and Mitarashi Onko. Needless to say he was having a difficult time just trying to survive. Flipping himself around, Kabuto managed to land on his feet, after getting smacked around by Guy. However, as soon as he stopped skidding backwards, Onko shot several snakes from her hands, and wrapped them around his body. Even worse for the young medic nin and spy, his arms had been caught by the snakes as well, so he wouldn't be able to use any hand signs. A chirping sound caught his attention, and Kabuto was just in time to see a flash of blue lightning from Kakashi's hand, as the Chidori was plunged into his chest. It was a puff of smoke, and Kabuto's body was soon replaced by a log. The traitorous medical ninja appeared just a little ways away. He gave no witty comeback like he usually might as he tried to escape from the trio of ninja. While he was arrogant, he was also smart. Kabuto knew that this battle was beyond him. Fighting 3 Jonin level ninja, 2 being a solid A rank and 1 being a mid to high B rank, was beyond anyone aside from those that earned the distinction of S rank. However, he was unable to escape as Mido Guy had been standing in the back to ensure Kabuto didn't try to do what he was doing right now. The taijutsu specialist was on Kabuto before he knew what hit him. Kabuto winced as he received several hits from Guy. The problem with fighting the taijutsu specialist was that he was just too strong and fast for Kabuto to do anything more than redirect the blows to lessen the damage. Perhaps in a straight-up fight, Kabuto would be able to use trickery and his medial skills, but with 2 other ninja to deal with, he had no chance of being capable of doing that. Kabuto ducked and dodged and weaved through the hailstorm of fists and feet that Guy threw at him. A few of the larger man's attacks came close, but none gave the medical ninja more than a grazing wound. The medical ninja's taijutsu style revolved around dodging opponents by predicting their next attack through muscle movement. Because of that, in spite of Guy being better than Kabuto at taijutsu, the white-haired medical ninja was able to keep just a few steps ahead of the taijutsu specialist. However, Konoha ninja often worked as a team, and this battle was no different. He became distracted when Anko launched a dozen snakes at him, and Kabuto ended up receiving another painful blow to the chest. He could feel his ribcage snapping, and it took a bit of effort not to scream out in pain. He soared through the air, and as he went under Kakashi, the copy ninja began going through several hand seals. Fire release, great fireball jutsu. Kakashi breathed out a large fireball that hit Kabuto, who was burned to crisp, his body hitting the ground with a meaty thud. However, before anyone could celebrate, the traitorous ninja once again disappeared in a puff of smoke. I can't see him anywhere, Guy said with a frown. He looked at his 2 partners, though recent circumstance left him somewhat reluctant to consider his former rival a partner. Can either of you see him? No? Kakashi said with a sigh as he looked around with his Sharingan. I can't see Kabuto anywhere. It's like he was never here. Damn. Anko pounded a fist into her right hand. I can't believe that bastard managed to get away. He's definitely a slippery one, Mido Guy said seriously, which was rare for Guy. But come, let us not waste time lamenting over this. There is still a lot more we must do to drive these most unyouthful invaders out of our home. Anko sighed. Right, let's go. The 3 Konoha ninja took off to help everyone else with their battles. None of them saw the figure sinking into the ground. Birth of the new Demon King. Shinnoken, heavenly subjugation of the omnipresent fist. Naruto punched out at Orochimaru, who moved his body to dodge the blow. However, despite being well out of the way of the blonde's fist, the Hibi-Sanin was still sent sailing backwards with the same amount of force he would have been if he had been hit. Ah! That was like one of Tsunade's punches. Orochimaru gasped as he felt the pain in his body. It felt like someone had compressed the Hokage monument into a small size, but left its mass intact, and dropped it on his stomach. How did he even hit me? I know I dodged that. Is this another ability of the Rinnegan? Ansho Tenin, heavenly attraction of all creation. Orochimaru felt as if he had been hooked in the gut as he was pulled forward with enough force that he ended up flying through the air at Jonin level speeds. When he got within his opponent's reach, Naruto pounded him right in the face with his fist. Shinnoken. Once more Orochimaru flew through the air, right before he ended up plowing into the ground. Groaning, he stood back up and looked at his opponent, who seemed to be giving him time to recuperate. That was a very powerful attack, Naruto-kun, Orochimaru said. It reminded me of my teammate Tsunade's punches. Tell me, is this another ability of your Rinnegan? Could you stop calling me Naruto-kun? Asked Naruto. Seriously, it's giving me the creeps. I don't swing that way. And second, what makes you think I would tell you anything about my Rinnegan's abilities? Where the fun in that be? Unless of course, you're willing to even up the odds by telling me every technique you know. Kukikuku, Orochimaru chuckled, though he looked angered at Naruto denying him information. The blonde smirked, he knew he was getting to the Hibi-Sanin. The man was not only insanely arrogant, even more than Naruto had been when fighting the Saint Beasts, he was also curious. Especially when it came to jutsu and Kekkei. By denying him information, Naruto pissed him off, and that would eventually make him sloppy. It seems you are not as dumb as everyone says you are. Gee, what gave that away? Asked Naruto in a sarcastic tone of voice. The fact that I'm kicking your ass. Or maybe the fact that I beat every single ninja I faced in the Chunin Exams. When I was told you were a genius, I thought everyone meant ninja prodigy, not a master of stating the obvious. You're hardly close to beating me, Orochimaru said with a scowl, all traces of playfulness leaving his face. Do not presume that a child like you has any chance of defeating me, someone who has gone farther in his study of ninjutsu than anyone else in the world. Let me show you just how far you are from my level. Orochimaru began going through several hand seals, before slamming his hands into the ground. Kuchis, Ito Tensei, summoning technique, resurrection of an impure world. 3 coffins began raising themselves from the ground, each one with a number on them numbering 1, 2, and 4. Naruto wasn't sure what this was, but he had a feeling this was the technique Orochimaru had needed kin for. He wondered what would happen to the corpse he had put in the one that said 1, since they apparently needed a living sacrifice for the technique to work. Figuring he would find out, Naruto waited until the 3 coffins were fully raised from the ground. Each one fell back with a loud thud, then the coffins opened up and from coffins 2 and 4, a person stepped out. What? Why isn't the Shodai coming out? Orochimaru looked into the first coffin and was shocked to see one of his shinobi inside. Dead. You. He raged at the blonde. You did this. This is how you found out about my invasion, isn't it? Naruto's eyes didn't even turn to acknowledge the man's words as he looked at the person in front of him. The man in front of him was fairly tall, just a little shorter than Naruto himself, and though his skin was a shen pale, Naruto knew it should be a light tan much like his own. He had bright blonde hair that was spiky, and had 2 jaw-length bangs framing his face. Bright blue eyes much like the ones Naruto used to have adorned his face. His attire consisted of a standard Konohana uniform with 2 bands each on both of his sleeves, a flak jacket and a forehead protector. He was also wearing a haori that was decorated by flames-like motifs on the edges, with the kanji for Yondaime Hokage written vertically down the back, and closed on the front by a thin orange robe. This man was none other than Namikaze Minato. The two stared at each other for what felt like the longest time, but in truth, had only been a few seconds. Finally, Minato's mouth opened, and the first word he said was, Sachi. Those 2 words caused all the people within hearing distance to look between the 2 blondes in shock. Had they just heard right? Did Minato, the Yondaime Hokage, the Kiroi Senku, the greatest hero of Konoha, call the Kyuubi Jinchuriki-san? For the Anbu standing outside, it was like someone had dumped a bucket of cold water on them. While none had done anything to hurt Naruto, they hadn't done anything to help him either. Some had even turned a blind eye to the boy's plight when he ran into a drunken villager, letting the people take their anger out on the blonde, before stepping in to stop it. And now they had just heard that the boy they had ignored, and many hated, was the son of their greatest hero. It was a bitter pill to swallow, and one that was sure to cause an uproar among the people of Konoha. Naruto cracked a smile. What's up, Tusan? I bet you never thought we'd actually meet, huh? Not really, Minato grimaced, not after what happened with Uchiha Madara. Naruto grinned at his father's surprised expression. Don't be so surprised. I know everything that happened during Ka-san's pregnancy. Well, most of what happened. I know that Madara somehow managed to know that the seal would weaken during childbirth, and I know that he was the one who released Kyuubi and made her attack the village. Yes, that's right, and, wait, her. The way Minato's eyes bulged as he had, that the fearsome Kyuubi no Yuko, the most powerful the Biju, was in fact, a female. Naruto chuckled. Surprise. So am I. I mean, it's not every day that you find out that your mind is being inhabited by a super hot female. When he saw his dad's eyes bug out even more, Naruto laughed. That's right. You only saw her fox form, huh? Let me assure you, Tusan, her human form is exquisite. I don't even know what to say to that. Minato mumbled. The man beside him just looked lost. Said man had white shaggy hair, red eyes and 3 red streaks, 2 under his eyes and 1 on his chin. His outfit consisted of blue armor and a forehead protector which was modeled to resemble a face guard. The outfit underneath his armor had a white fur collar. Outside of his shinobi outfit, the man wore a simple blue shirt kimono held closed by a pale yellow sash, and pants with mesh armor underneath, completed with a bracelet of sorts on his left hand. I'm not sure what's going on, he said, and Naruto turned to realize he was looking at the Nidaime Hokage, who was looking at him with red eyes. It seems you have quite the story to tell. However, I believe we were summoned here for a reason. That's right, Nidaime-sama, Yondaime-sama, Orochimaru said with a mocking smile as he said Minato's title. You two are here to kill dear Minato's son, and help me destroy your home. He had been rather angry about not being able to summon the Shodaime, but learning that Naruto was in fact the son of the man he hated most made his anger disappear. Now he would force the man he hated more than even his own sensei to kill his son. While he had wanted Naruto's body, the Hibi-sanin was beginning to think it was too much trouble. He would likely have to kill the boy, before he could become a threat. Such a shame. With those pleasant thoughts in his mind, Orochimaru pulled out 2 kunai with several seal tags on them. He made to implant them in the head of the 2 he had summoned. However, before he could, a hand grabbed onto his. Looking from the hand, the Hibi-sanin was just in time to see a hand with a spiraling ball of chakra in it before it was plowed into his face. Rather than explode in a mass of gore and brains, Orochimaru melted into a pile of mud. Tsuchi Bunshin, mud clone, Minato muttered as he jumped back from the sword that threatened to impale him. He landed over near Naruto, and looked over where Orochimaru was standing with an angry glare on his face. How are you able to attack me? I revived you. You can't hurt the person who cast this jutsu. Orochimaru screamed, spittle actually coming out of his mouth. Naruto actually snickered at the sight of the famed Hibi-sanin losing his cool. Minato just smiled. You obviously didn't read the fine print, did you, Orochimaru? Had you studied the jutsu in more depth, you would have known that one who has given himself to the Shinigami cannot be used by anyone except Shinigami-sama. When I sacrificed myself to seal Kyuubi into Naruto, the Shinigami claimed my soul, and I now work for him. Mere mortal jutsu do not hold power over the one who controls the spirit realm. Orochimaru grit his teeth in anger and slight worry. This was not something he had expected, and it also meant trouble. Minato wasn't considered to be the most powerful shinobi to ever grace the elemental nations without good reason. Even without his Hiraishin no jutsu, he was a powerful force to be reckoned with. Unfortunately, the Hibi-sanin knew he was too far into this now to back down. If he tried to escape, it would leave his back exposed, and he had no doubt that Minato would take advantage of such an act. Never mind the fact that his son was capable of holding his own against him. Beside him, Tobirama was looking at Minato with newfound respect as he heard that he had sacrificed himself to the Shinigami. That was facing death with true courage. Fine, I'll just end the technique on you, Orochimaru said. However, Minato just laughed. You can't end the technique anymore. The moment you summoned me to this plane, your ability to control me in any way was lost. That includes cancelling the jutsu on me. Face pedo douche, you've lost, Naruto grinned at the man. Beside him, Minato's sweat dropped at hearing the very Kushina insult. And the best part is, you only have yourself to blame. Orochimaru snarled, no more talk. He violently shoved the kunai in Tobirama's head. The Nidarime Hokage straightened, his skin became pink and healthy, but his eyes dulled as he fell to the control of the jutsu. Kill them. Tobirama started off at a slow gait, before speeding into a run. However, before he could get far, Naruto held out his hands and said, Shinra Tensei, heavenly subjugation of the omnipresent god. And the Nidarime Hokage was suddenly smashed by an invisible force and sent sailing backwards. Minato looked at his son with raised eyebrows. Is it an ability of the Rinnegan? Yep, Naruto looked at his dad with a smirk. Aside from being able to control all 5 elements, I can also control the 6th element, gravity. With my ability over gravity, I can attract or repel objects and people. I can even change the gravity of something else and make things float. I haven't found out everything about these eyes yet, unfortunately. But I've learned some interesting techniques. Minato smiled before noticing Tobirama was getting back up. You'll have to tell me how you got those eyes. But it will need to be later. Right now we've got a battle on our hands. Not going to tell me I'm too young, and to leave it to you? Asked Naruto with a raised eyebrow. Minato shook his head and smiled. From what I've seen, since I got here, you were likely doing remarkably well. Especially since he summoned us to battle. Besides, you're my son. I have faith in you. That thing too, Naruto chuckled as he turned towards the incoming Kage. There's no way I'm going to be left out of the fun. Heh, you're just like Kushi-chan, Minato said right as Tobirama attacked him. The Yondarime Hokage ducked under the punch, and sent nearly 10 of his own in quick succession. Too fast for any except Naruto himself to see. He ended his attack with an uppercut that caught the other revived Kage flat-footed, sending the man sailing. Naruto nodded in approval. Not bad, old man, it looks like you've got this battle covered. In which case I'm going to go play with a certain snake. Sure, just leave this to me, Minato said as Tobirama created a giant wall of water, which came towards Minato. Said man went through several hand seals in quick succession, his fingers blurring. Earth release, Earth-style wall. Birth of the new Demon King. Shinigami. Orochimaru was once again blown back as he was smashed with Naruto's gravity punch. He had actually been hoping to make his escape once the pair of blondes were busy with the Nidarime. However, life and karma seemed to have other plans for the Hibi-sanin as Minato and Naruto decided to split up so they could have a pair of one-on-one fights. Now Orochimaru had to contend with the blonde he had been fighting previously, and things were not looking good. Many hidden shadow snake hands. Orochimaru shot several snakes out of his sleeves, all of them heading for Naruto, in an attempt to harm the blonde in some way. Naruto planted his hands on the ground and said, Shinra Tensei. Jinshuku Sha, heavenly subjugation of the omnipresent god. Gravity well. The ground underneath the snakes burst open, and they were all hit by an invisible force, getting sent high into the air. With the aim of his snakes off course, Orochimaru was left vulnerable, and Naruto came in and smashed his fist into the Sanin's gut. Orochimaru melted into mud, and Naruto jumped back just as the man burst from the ground with a snake in his mouth, which was holding a sword in its mouth. The Sanin pulled the sword free, and the snake went back down the man's throat. That is so gross, Naruto shuddered, but he still pulled his katana and wakizashi free. The blades of the swords, much like their general look, were both of opposites. The katana, which was called Fox's Cry, had a blade of pure white, and it seemed to glow with a hidden power. The wakizashi went by the name Fox's Howl, and held a blade that was pitch black. He held Fox's Cry in front of him with a standard one-handed grip, and Fox's Howl behind him in a reverse grip, as he prepared to use them in their first real battle. Orochimaru came in fast and began attacking Naruto, using a combination of jabs and slices, in his attempt to get through the blonde's guard. However, Naruto was more than up to the task of defending against the Sanin's attacks. Using Fox's Howl, the blonde Uzumaki blocked all attacks from the Kusanagi blade, surprising Orochimaru that his sword did not cut right through it. The Kusanagi was one of the most powerful swords in the world, and very few weapons save those used by the Kurashinobi Katana Nanin and Shu were capable of withstanding it. With Fox's cry, Naruto made his own attempts at vivisecting his opponent. Orochimaru was forced to swerve around the katana so as not to get cut in half. The two broke apart after Orochimaru came in with a heavy swing from above, and Naruto blocked by bringing his blades into an X-guard. Deciding enough was enough, Naruto moved in to finish off his opponent. He came in fast and hard, and began using both blades to attack Orochimaru. Fox's howl he used for quick jabs and to get into Orochimaru's guard, or knock his blade out of the way. Fox's cry was used for power strikes and swings aimed at taking off limbs. It was during one of the moments, where Fox's howl had knocked the Kusanagi away that Naruto managed to slice straight through Orochimaru's midsection, cutting the man in half. However, much to Naruto's shock and disgust, several snakes burst from two severed body parts, and pulled the man back together. Growling in frustration, Naruto began attacking again, this time even more viciously than before. The Hibi Sannin found himself being hard-pressed to defend himself against the blonde's powerful onslaught. While he had been careful not to get cut in half again, he began receiving several cuts along his arms and torso. He had to hold in a wince each time he got cut, as each wound he received felt like it either burned him or sucked out his life essence, depending on the sword that caused the wound. "Those are some rather interesting swords," Orochimaru commented as they jumped away from each other again. "I'm rather curious to know where you got them. And once again, I'm rather curious to know why you think I'm going to tell you," said Naruto. "Face it, unlike most shinobi, I actually hold to the common rule that deception and misdirection is a shinobi's bread and butter. I'm not going to tell you anything, unless it would benefit me in some way. And telling you of the origins of my sword doesn't do that." "Fine," Orochimaru said through grit teeth. This brat was getting on the last of his nerves. He had ruined everything the Sannin had worked for. "Then you shall die and I'll just take them off of your corpse." Naruto just smiled. "Oh, I think not, Orochimaru." "Bah." Orochimaru's eyes widened as he felt a sword pierce through his chest. Looking down, he saw the black blade of Fox's howl sticking out. He looked up just in time to see the Naruto in front of him disappear in a puff of smoke, then turned around to see cold blue Rinnegan eyes staring at him from behind. "When did you switch yourself out with the Kage Bunshin?" "When I cut you in half," replied Naruto. "And now that I've got the real you, you're finished." This blade, Fox's howl, has a very unique ability. It can suck out the soul of anyone it stabs. A rather impressive ability, if I do say so myself. That was why I felt so weak when it cut me, Orochimaru said with realization. "Yep, each time it cut you, it took a little piece of your soul, weakening you constantly. Unlike chakra, you cannot replace your soul, and it seems yours is rather small." Naruto wasn't sure why that was, but in the end it didn't matter. "Goodbye, pedo douche." No, I am Orochimaru of the Sannin." Orochimaru screamed, even as his skin began to age, wrinkles began forming and his face became sunken in. "I am invincible. Immortal. I can't be." The man's screaming stopped as his body turned into a pile of ash. Naruto smiled as he blew away the dust with his Shinra Tensei. He looked over to see his father had just finished sealing up Tobirama. Deciding that his father had things well in hand, Naruto turned to the first person he saw keeping up the barrier. A frightened-looking girl with long, untamed red hair. She also wore a black hat with bandages on the sides. "You and your comrades will drop this barrier and surrender yourselves," Naruto said, his voice colder than a glacier, making the girl shiver. "Any attempts at escape will end in your death. However, if you surrender, I promise to show you mercy and will allow you to live." "Oh shit. This guy just fucking beat that cocksucker, Orochimaru, like it was nothing, and now he's staring at me," were the first thoughts of the redhead. However, the boy's words penetrated her mind, and her sense of self-preservation kicked in. She immediately dropped the barrier, and knowing the blonde could, and most likely would make good on his threat, decided to stay where she was. The three others were not so smart. They tried to escape, however. Between the now-revived Yondaime and the three Anbu, none escaped and they were all captured. "What should we do them, Yondaime-sama?" asked Tenzu, deferring to the man who had once been a Kage. It was Naruto that answered. "Take those three to Ibiki, get him to make them cough up the locations of everything they know on Orochimaru. His bases, enemy numbers, everything. When you're done, kill them." The three Anbu looked startled at being ordered by a kid, but seeing how he had just killed Orochimaru, none said anything. Though Tenzu did look at the Yondaime, who merely nodded. He nodded back, and turned back to Naruto and asked, "What about her?" "She has agreed to come quietly, so she will be escorted to POW. I myself will talk with her when the battle for Konoha has ended," Naruto said. He looked at one of the Anbu. "You will escort her, and know this, she is not to be harmed since she has come willingly. If I find that one hair on her head has been hurt, I will be coming after you." The Anbu, Tori, gulped in fear, knowing that this kid could follow up on that threat. The girl, however, looked shocked at someone she just met protecting her. However, just as Tori was about to tell the girl to get moving, the redhead hissed in pain and was forced to her knees, while her hands flew to her neck. "What the fuck?" she shouted. "Dear fucking Kami. This hurts like a motherfucking bitch." "Shit. Naruto and Minato ignored the girl's profanity as they rushed over to her and pried the girl's hands away from her neck. "That's Orochimaru's Junjutsu, Curse Seal," said Naruto with a frown. "It looks like it's sizzling." The two watched as the seal cracked and hissed, slowly disappearing from the girl's skin. Within seconds the seal was gone, leaving a rather nasty-looking scar. "Check the other three. See if their Junjutsu seals are still there," Naruto ordered the Anbu. He looked at the redhead. "Are you alright?" "What the fuck do you think? Of course I'm not fucking alright, shithead," she screamed at him. "Right, new plan then," Naruto muttered before giving out his orders. "Tori, get this girl to the hospital." "Yes," the man shouted, almost out of reflex due to the commanding tone in his voice. Naruto pulled the girl up and handed her off to the bird-masked Anbu. He turned to his father when the man began jumping off. "Are you ready?" Minato smiled at his son, and there was a look of pride on his face. "Of course, shall we kick these foreign ninjas out of our home?" "I think you know the answer to that." Birth of the new Demon King. Earth release. Earth Dragon Bullet. Fire release. Flame Bullet. A mound of mud rose up from the ground, shifting and morphing to take on the shape of a dragon head. The creature opened its mouth, and several tons of mud were blasted out, sweeping up many of the Odo ninja in front of Sarutobi away. A few more hand seals later, and Sarutobi blew a stream of fire out of his mouth, which connected with the earth, and lit the mud into a blaze. Soon, the screams of Odo ninja dying were heard as they were burned to a crisp under the combined assault of the Sandayume's collaboration jutsu. Going through more hand seals, the aging Hokage slammed his palms on the ground and shouted, "Summoning technique. Monkey King Enma." There was a large puff of smoke, which soon cleared to reveal a large monkey. To be more specific, it was an ape. And his body was covered by white fur which protruded from his sleeves and pants. He had long white hair and sideburns as well as a goatee. His tail was also white. He was wearing a black suit with mesh armor underneath, over which he wore a sleeveless kimono shirt with white trimmings, and markings reminiscent of tiger stripes on it, held closed by a sash. Enma also had on a Konoha forehead protector. "Enma, I would like your help in ridding Konoha of these invaders," Sarutobi said. "Very well, I shall aid you in this, Sarutobi," Enma said as the two began to work together. Sarutobi and Enma began moving into the area, which was thickest with enemy ninja, fighting together to overpower any shinobi they could get their hands on. While they were battling, however, they both received the shock of their lives as Uzumaki Naruto appeared to fight with them. And he was with none other than Namikaze Minato. "Minato-kun," Sarutobi whispered in shock as the pair of blondes crashed into the battle, with all the subtlety of a battering ram. The father and son duo took to pulverizing the Odo ninja with a combination of finesse and brute force, Minato being the finesse and Naruto just pounding them into the dirt until they died, to defeat any who stood before them. Minato turned to look at the aging Sandayume and grinned. "Hey, Sarutobi-san. Can't talk now, me and my son have to help with the invasion." The aging Hokage merely nodded mutely, unable to even think much less try, and comprehend the fact that Minato was standing before him, alive and well. "What is going on here?" asked Enma as he smashed his fist into an Odo Kanoichi's face. "Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Minato die sealing the Kyuubi?" "Yes, he did." Sarutobi snapped himself out of his funk, and began fighting again. He couldn't afford to get distracted. However, Orochimaru may have used the jutsu to bring Minato back to life. Though, if he did, I don't know why he's fighting for us, and not doing Orochimaru's bidding. "I suppose in the end it doesn't matter," said Enma. "Let us finish this, we can get our answers later." Sarutobi gave an absent nod as he got back to work. Birth of the new Demon King. The appearance of Namikaze Minato fighting alongside Uzumaki Naruto sent shockwaves through the remaining Konoha shinobi. None could believe that their hero had returned, and was battling with their foes like he had never left. Many of Konoha figured that the Yondaime had somehow managed to come back to life, or never died to begin with, and had just been waiting for the right time to come out of hiding. The one other thing that everyone noticed, and were shocked about, was the fact that the Yondaime Hokage was fighting alongside Naruto. A fact which confused many of the ninja forces. Despite their confusion, everyone rallied behind the two powerful shinobi. With renewed strength, determination and morale, Konoha drove off the invading Odo forces alongside the Chunin ninja that had turned on their supposed allies. With the loss of their leader, the appearance of Naruto and the reappearance of the Yondaime Hokage, the ninja of Odo began to lose heart. Many had attempted to retreat, only to be cut down by the father and son duo who used their immense speed and power to blindside the Odo ninja. Naruto, wielding his Rinnegan, had used his control over gravity to keep the Odo forces from running away, while Minato sped into their ranks and decimated them. Even though he did not have any Hiraishin kunai on him and was thus incapable of using his signature technique, was still faster than anyone had any right to be. It wasn't long before the Odo forces had either been killed or surrendered. "Phew," Naruto said as he wiped some sweat from his brow. "Man, this has been quite a day. First I fight the Hyuga prodigy, then the Shukaku Jinchuriki, next was Orochimaru, and now I just helped drive an invading force out of Konoha. An all-around good day." Minato chuckled at his son's nonchalance. And now we'll be able to get some well-deserved rest, and you can tell me about how your life has been. The older blonde didn't miss the wince his son did, and a frown marred his face. Before he could ask about it, another voice shouted his name. Minato. Minato. Turning, the two blondes watched as Jiraiya jumped down from the roof and stopped in front of the two of them. Minato blinked. Jiraiya-sensei. When I heard you were alive I didn't believe it. I almost still don't believe. The white-haired man said. He looked at Minato suspiciously. How are you alive? I'll explain later, sensei, Minato said. For now, let's just say Orochimaru is an idiot and leave it at that. Wait, Naruto said, catching the attention of the two men. This is Jiraiya. The Jiraiya. Jiraiya grinned at the younger blonde. Yes. That is right. It is I. The great Jiraiya saw. Minato, Hiruzen and the many shinobi who were present winced in sympathy as Naruto kicked the Gama-sanin in the balls, hard. A few even reflexively cupped their nads, as if feeling the pain, merely by seeing Jiraiya's getting damaged. What was that for? Squeaked out Jiraiya, his voice sounding very much like Unsai. That? Naruto said with a grim smile. That was for not taking care of me, or even coming to visit me, Kyuubi. Jiraiya paled, then went even paler as he saw Minato's look darken. If they did not look so different, many would have assumed Jiraiya was Orochimaru due to how pale he was. Thankfully for Jiraiya, Sarutobi herded the attention away from his doomed student. Minato, I have to ask, how's it that you are here? I saw your body, after defeating the Kyuubi. You and the Sandaime paused, looking over at Naruto. What? Naruto said with a shrug. I already know my parents were the Yondaime and Uzumaki Kushina. Why you knew? Sarutobi stuttered. Many of the ninja forces that were near enough to hear began whispering. Seeing the look on Naruto's face, the Sandaime asked, for how long? Since the Forest of Death where I went through my transformation, Naruto replied carefully. Why didn't you say anything? Asked Sarutobi. Naruto shrugged. Why didn't you? The aging Hokage winced at the dull tone in the boy's voice. He had honestly hoped it would be someone else's responsibility to inform Naruto of his parents. That the blonde already knew, and didn't let Sarutobi know that he knew, meant he no longer trusts the Sandaime enough to talk to him. Naruto, Save your platitudes for someone who needs them, Naruto interrupted, though his words sounded harsh his tone was not. It was the kind of voice someone used when they had already accepted what had happened to them and moved on. What's done is done, and while I don't like you keeping my heritage from me, especially since you always told me you didn't know, I understand why you did it. It's in the past, and that is where it shall stay. I would rather not play whose fault is it with you. Let's just focus on the now, okay? Very well, Sarutobi said, relieved and happy to see Naruto did not seem to hold a grudge against him. The Hokage may have lost his trust, but at least the young blonde was willing to forgive his transgressions. Why don't we discuss everything in my office? I have many questions, and I am sure you do as well, Minato. Hi, that's true. I have a lot I want to ask you, and a lot I need to tell you, Minato said. As Naruto is integral to this discussion, and deserves to hear everything we say, he will be coming with us. I understand, Sarutobi said. He looked down at Jiraiya who was still curled up on the ground holding his junk. Jiraiya, get off the ground. I want you to be at this meeting. Right? Jiraiya said, standing as if nothing had happened and he was perfectly fine. Though Naruto noticed with a satisfied smirk that the man was walking a little bow-legged. The four ninja began making their way through the crowd, heading towards the Hokage Tower, where a long discussion awaited them. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoyed. If you want a next part of this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification, and also check out the other videos that I have created, and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.